Hello and welcome to the Neal and Amie podcast. This series of episodes is called Wayfinder.
Why? Because this world, the people in it and the pressures of it can jack you up and they can cause you to lose your way. Next thing you know, you're overweight, unmotivated, frustrated with the relationships around you. Your life shattered in pieces and you're watching episodes of Dr. Phil and Jerry Springer just to feel normal again.
This show is about helping people find joy in the middle of challenges because life is too short to live miserable.
Okay, we've got the babies in the family.
The little babies.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
they're so cute. I want to pinch their little chubby cheeks and spank their little butt.
If they weren't in Idaho, we'd squeeze them.
Yeah.
Hello.
We have Abigail Joy.
Hello.
And
That
we
is
have
my name.
Josiah Colton, who I call
Hello.
Poke.
Pokey.
Hope.
Pokey and Zabby.
Abizabs.
Naomi.
So
Bobby
family order, you got Amy, who's the oldest, domineering, kind of like dominatrix style
No,
stuff.
I'm.
And then
like-
you go,
No, my name should have been Harmony because I'm so peaceful.
oh, jeez.
That's the funniest name
Yeah,
I've
that's-
actually ever heard. I'm sorry. Okay, continue.
And then we've got Ashley, who pretty much like is a ray of sunlight that fell from heaven.
That's no
Yeah.
joke.
Yes. She is actually an angel on earth. I describe her as Jesus's little
Little
best
sister.
friend.
Little sister.
Little sister. This is Jesus' little sister.
She could have been Mother Mary, but she's not. She's Mother Ashley.
Because she's not a virgin. She has 5 children, people.
5.
And just for the record, she lost her virginity at 17.
With her mom and dad's consent.
They signed a paper. Hey, somebody drop a line on Jake. How do you describe Jake?
If you were to think of like a space pirate,
Not butt pirate,
Dress.
space pirate.
not a butt pirate. I know you get those two confused. He's got a space pirate vibe,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like Rico Suave. He
Yep.
knows he's cool,
Yep,
and yeah.
that's good.
And all
I
of
don't
his
know.
tattoos kind of revolve around a pirate.
They do.
It actually does.
But that's
pirate.
see, that's the problem is he's got a lot of pirate tattoos, but he's never sailed a day in his life.
He's working on that.
And then we got
Man.
Josiah Colton. Amy, drop the line.
Jesse was the perfect little baby.
Mm-hmm.
He
Oh my
didn't
God.
really. The only time he really cried was when it snowed outside and he wanted to go outside, but he was too little to walk his happy little butt to the door. So he'd crawl or army pull his body over to the floor and just cry because he loved the snow so much. So we would go out and we'd put him in the little Ralphie from Christmas Stories brothers suit,
Yep.
can't put my arms down suit.
Yep.
And we just sit him out there. We
That's
kind of make
cute.
like a little igloo thing so he couldn't army crawl off the cliff.
It's like a playpen for
Yeah,
Jesse.
a
but it's
snow playpen. And then, and you can do it. It's really easy. You pack the snow with a shovel and then you cut into a rectangle and you make these little
Oh my
igloo
goodness.
blocks.
Yeah.
And then we just make them all the way around him and he would just sit there and just play in the snow till his face was bright red. And we'd bring him in and he would just cry because he wouldn't go back out there again.
And he used to say something about.
Oh yeah, he had
tickle.
this little speech thing.
Impediment.
Yeah. Well,
It went away.
like Kenny says about
He
Mona
lived.
Marie, he spoke in cursive. And so
Oh my
he would
gosh.
say he liked his feet rubbed. And so
Mm.
he'd lay down and he'd stick his feet up in your face and it didn't matter if they stunk because he had snow boots on all day or not. And he would say, Momo, because he calls me Momo, Momo, will you tickle my toe? And I'd say,
Okay, time out.
what?
Time out. He still does that.
Oh.
But it came
not
out like
changed.
clothes every time he would say it.
Oh.
So I'd say, no, I can't tickle your clothes. and it would go on, and he'd get so mad, but he's a cute little boy. He also had this like little breathing issue, and we'd have to have him do his breathing treatments, but he had this like weird reaction to albuterol, and it would make him so pumped. He would literally get so hyped. He's little tiny boy. He'd like jump up and down on the couch, and he'd just run and just slam into the wall, and then we'd all laugh, and he'd do it again.
Hey, one time you sat on the toilet, and didn't he do something funny?
Oh my gosh, the little brat. I was 11 when he was born, so I actually, on the day he was born, I wore purple stretch pant shorts with a short belly shirt with purple and white stripes, turtleneck tank top.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really hot.
Sounds like your late night
So
outfits.
bad. Literally so bad.
But he's probably 3, so that makes me what, 14?
Yeah.
11 plus 3?
Holy cow.
So I'm sitting on the toilet trying to pee myself, and we only had one bathroom
You're trying
in the
to
basement.
pee yourself?
No, I'm like trying to go pee, and he comes running in, opens the door, and he's like, gotta go. And I'm like, you're gonna have to wait or go outside. He's like, can't wait. And he goes behind me and pees down my back, using my back as like a funnel to make it into the toilet. Yeah, little brat.
Had to do it, Jess. Had to do it.
But
I had to go.
we actually have a lot of weird peeing stories about him.
Yeah.
One day I walked into the bathroom and he was peeing in the sink, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I didn't have time to make it to the toilet. I'm like, it took you longer to climb onto the sink and pee than it would have for you to walk around the corner into the toilet room. What the heck?
Oh my, that's awesome. And then
I
we
remember that day.
got little baby Abby.
Yeah. Abigail.
Middle name Joy, which most of the time is pretty true.
She's so happy.
Yeah.
Like almost just most of the time.
Yeah.
So happy.
So my Abby encounter, there were 2 actually.
2?
Yeah, 2. The first time I actually met Abby, she was 3, right? And I would have been 19-ish. And I pull up to the gas station, and you're hanging out of the car, and you're yelling, peace and run naked. But you said it completely. You were like, Pete and run naked. It was so, I couldn't understand it. So that was hilarious. But the one that really, really got me. So most of the listeners know that I had a fetish with marijuana when I was younger.
That is good.
You were just trying to follow your mom's natural health routine.
Yeah.
He didn't know about essential oils yet.
Yeah. Nor were there all the benefits out there. The only benefit that I found was
true.
Yeah.
And all they had for vitamins was B6 and men's testosterone vitamin.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, nice.
So I come up to the Lion's house, the house that we're currently sitting in. I come up, and I'm like, at this point in my life, I'm like trying to really walk the line, right? Good Christian line. And I walk in, and Abby walks right up to me not long after walking in the door, and she's 3. And mind you, I'd never seen the movie Meet the Fockers. I'd never seen it yet. And she walks up and she taps on me, and she looks up and she says, "You smoking pot, Focker?" And
No, she said, "Are you a pothead, Focker?"
Are you a pothead,
Are you
Focker?
a pothead, Focker?
Yeah.
But she also spoke in calligraphy, so it was like...
I honestly thought she called me a fucker. I honestly did. And I was like, oh my gosh, what kind of show is going on around this place? And I'm like looking around, I'm like, dude, this whole deal is a facade. I don't know what's going on around here. It blew my mind. And later I got the humor of it. So yeah, that's a thing.
Gosh.
Yeah, you were like, what the heck is going on, Amy? I was like, you obviously haven't seen the movie. He's like, what movie? All we do is watch NFL and NCAA on repeat.
He's like, how did this child know I am a pothead?
I was seriously concerned. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, Abby girl though, this one, she's always like, she's the baby. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
but she's like a pretty good mixture, I think, between the two sisters.
Well, in her birth order, there's me and Ashley, two girls who are very girly, but Dad also programmed us that we could do anything a guy could do. So there's that. But then Jake and Jesse came along, and then Abby. So Abby's tagging along behind the boys. So she's kind of got like a scary side to her, if you will.
Yeah.
Like she genuinely likes making knives. That's like her profession.
Yeah. And she can go joyful to psycho in 0 to 2.
Yeah, in seconds.
Yeah.
From Abby to Stabby.
We call it Spider Monkey.
Spider Monkey.
We saw us choke out a grown man one time, too.
He passed out.
I don't know if we would call him a grown man.
He was like 10 years older than me at the time.
Yeah.
I was 15. Yes, it's absolutely choking out a grown man. He took my phone, okay? I was 15. You don't take a 15-year-old girl's phone. That's common knowledge. So it's actually his fault.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Known better.
And I think I'm a baby in a sense because you will hear Amy say this a lot on the show. Abby's baby. Oh, she's the baby of the family. Oh, she didn't get disciplined like us. Listen, Amy got spanked so much because Amy opened her fat mouth all the time. I was the one that was like, oh, I'm going to learn from all of your guys' mistakes, and I'm not going to get spanked all the time. So when Amy's like, oh, Abby didn't get disciplined. Oh, no, I just watched you guys get your butts beat all the time. So, yeah, no, I didn't need to get disciplined because I knew better.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's awesome.
You're welcome.
You are so welcome.
You're welcome.
So, to youngest in the family, we are in a series, and it's called How to Build a House That Lasts, which is a metaphor-ish, right? Amy and I recorded an episode, the episode prior to this one, and literally the two of us were like, not hysterically, but it was an emotional one. But we ended up titling it Faith, Family, and Shit Sandwiches. So
it's part of the building the house that lasts.
Yes.
But it was like solid. So all we want to do, just have a conversation with you guys about your vantage point. Jake and Ash jumped on a couple episodes back. Jake basically admitted to not ever lifting a finger.
Yeah, I heard it, and I'm glad you got it on the
It's
record
recorded.
because I'm going to go back to that for sure.
Absolutely.
So good.
Totally. So let's just kind of jump into vantage points. Like, obviously, what Mom and Dad set out to do in building this house was quite a venture. Just from your, general observation.
I just got to say, they were born. We brought Jesse home from the hospital. The basement was finished. So in the perspective of Ashley and me and Jake talking about building the basement and stuff, Jesse and Abby were like flying cherubs in heaven shooting arrows at hummingbirds. I don't know exactly what they were doing. They hadn't fallen from heaven yet.
There's no killing in heaven, but yeah.
Yeah, hummingbirds
sure.
there.
Oh, you were shooting them with love hearts.
Yes, for sure.
So Jess, how about you? Like, so what like some of your thoughts, just general thoughts on the big venture of building the house and just kind of growing up in what you did?
Well, I mean, some people ask, oh, what was it like, building a house? To me, since kind of being born in that environment, that was home. And not to sound dumb, but we went to a friend's house the other night for dinner, and they're currently building their house. But like when I walked upstairs, all they still have is just their subfloors, but no carpet or flooring. That felt more like home to me than carpet would feel. Just that sense of almost unfinishedness, but also like it wasn't about having, oh, you have perfect walls or whatnot. We did a lot of stuff in between then, like Jake and I would climb, scale those unfinished walls, and when we were augering out all the holes for electricity and stuff like that, that was just kind of our natural playground, was the upstairs. But I don't know, building was always enjoyable because that meant people were over and getting to hang out with friends and kind of just fiddle around for the most part, but nothing really seemed like we never made any real headway. It was more so just the environment that was enjoyable.
Yeah, it's like kind of growing up in a work in progress environment.
Yeah,
that's legit. How about you, Abs? What do you got?
So obviously I'm the baby.
Mommy's milk.
Yes, I was very young through pretty much everything. But okay, before I get too far into this, what was the question again? Because I'm gonna just butcher this.
No, yeah, it wasn't. It was just more like general, like, hey, what's your thoughts on kind of growing up in environments that, is, nothing too specific.
Perfect. Okay, so like Jesse said, climbing over everything, I thought that was normal. When Amy and Ashley moved out, I was so excited because I got the room that we were all going to share, and that was going to be mine to myself. And it was the biggest room of the house.
That was not accurate because I fully intended on moving in, even though I was married.
She always told me she was out as soon as that thing was finished. Like she was coming home.
Oh my gosh, just waiting for the room to be done. Oh my gosh. So I got to dream, and I have big dreams for that room. I was going to put a spiral staircase, a fire pole to go down because I have that little balcony above the closet area.
Sister, let's just make very, very clear what that pole was. A fire pole.
It was a fire pole.
Okay.
That's a fireman. Gosh. So for me, I think, growing up, I got to, and that imagination was awesome. Got to climb everywhere. We didn't really have a lot of supervision either, and so that was cool. I don't know how we didn't get more hurt than we did. Seriously. But it was fun because
who's we?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not get hurt. I watched your guys' mistakes and knew where to climb and where not to climb. But it's different because when I talk about my childhood stories with people now, they're like, that's the craziest thing. You climbed all over your house and, you did these things. And that was just normal because that's just how we lived. And I love that because Mom and Dad didn't make a big deal about, what we were doing was crazy. They were just like, hey, this is what we're doing. And, if you're tired, you can go to sleep under the chair or, wherever. But this is just what we're doing. And so I love that. Now, being older and seeing my siblings have kids and seeing them do the same thing with their kids, like, oh, okay, you're tired, Quincy? Okay, go lay down. Or, it was just very easily adaptable. And I love that because I think that has been passed on to my siblings.
Heck yeah, totally.
And it's like, it's a really good quality.
It was really perplexing when you had friends come over and they're like, oh, my parents said we're not allowed to climb the scaffolding. You're like, what the hell is wrong with your parents?
Your parents
It's only 4 scaffoldings high. I don't even, what the? You have weird parents.
We're not going to climb it. We're going to swing off of it. It's totally different.
I call sleeping on the 4th rung.
Yeah.
Right? It was just normal. And so I appreciate that Mom and Dad, let us have those experiences because I'm sure when they were raising us, they got a lot of flack about how that's not how you raise kids. But they, I can totally imagine people being like, oh, okay, no, that's not right. But they let us be a part of life experiences, and we've learned so much for that. So
heck yeah.
I'm very thankful to them about that. And so it was fun. I remember a lot of lunch breaks. I never did anything before the lunch breaks except play, but I had a Toy Story Monopoly, and I would wait for Dad to come to lunch break, and he would play with me every lunch break.
Nice.
And he'd go back up after he got his cookies. And then I have no idea where that board game went. I'm kind of sad about it, thinking about it now, because it was so cool. But just fun that little memories that, you know, Dad was on his lunch break from probably, you know, working super duper hard, and he played Monopoly with me on his 15-minute break that Mom gave him. So
Right.
I don't know. So yeah, it was fun.
So totally like off the cuff question, but you just said because Mom was like on him like at different points. What about that?
Yeah.
Like, what about the mom and dad dynamic? Obviously, they're incredible together. They love each other. Like, those are all the disclaimers. Yeah. Like, they've stood through thick and thin, all of that. But what kind of dynamic did you actually see between mom and dad in the work environment, raising kids, worrying about life and money and things like that? How did they jive? You can totally be
Jesse,
honest.
do you want to go first?
Oh, well, I mean, my answer would be different than yours, because I was never really paying attention to Mom and Dad. But because Dad would always drop whatever he was doing to play with me, but Mom was a little bit more strict. She had to stick to her either cooking or cleaning and stuff like that. Not to say that she wouldn't, but I always knew that if I went to Dad, he was the one that would drop whatever he was doing for me.
Yep. That's cool.
So two separate, mindsets, but both loving.
Mm-hmm. So, in a world where everybody's like all about getting things done, right? Like bringing stuff to completion. Like we know certain people that even live around here that are like all about like getting their house done and getting it done, right and fast and all these things.
Yeah.
What about the moments that are missed? What about the, there's there's two choices, like get it done. And there's probably a balance in here, like get it done. Or like Jess, you said, the appreciation of the fact that Dad, even though there was things to do, he'd drop what he was doing to pay you time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's like huge. Super valuable.
That's good.
Super valuable.
That's good.
What about you, Zabby, between Mom and Dad? Like, okay, characterize them. Like Dad was this and Mom was this.
Well, I wish the viewers knew our two dogs, Bonnie and Clyde, because it literally sums them up so good. And Mom would not appreciate me saying that, but it's very funny. So you got to go back. I have grown up with a different mom and dad than you have grown up with, Amy, and probably somewhat Jesse. And so when you guys tell stories, I'm like, that would have never flown, like, for me growing up. But I love Mom and Dad because they work things out at a very loud level vocally. And they're not fighting, they will tell you. We're just figuring this out. We're just discussing this. We're not fighting. And I'm like, are you sure? Because you're yelling and you're scaring me. And they're like, no, we're just trying to figure out what's happening. And so I love that because it taught me that, you can be open and you can figure it out. Like, you don't have to keep everything inside, but just figure it out and move on from that,
Yep.
So I love that. Mom and Dad I feel like I paid a lot more attention to them than most because I was the baby, and so I was probably stuck on Mom's hip a lot of the time. And okay, honestly, I don't think I've ever told.
Did you say tit?
I said hip,
but
my probably
bad.
Tit too. Gosh, I was a fat baby. My baby pictures, I had the fattest face. It's so embarrassing. Anyways, I don't think I've ever told this before, but I hated going to people's houses and like without Mom and Dad because I was like, what if Mom and Dad die and I'm not with them? And so I was with them a lot because I refused to go anywhere else because they could die anywhere. And I'm like 5, gosh. And so I have just been very close to them. I don't know, because I'm afraid of dying, I guess. But I have watched them go through money issues and work out their money stuff. They have always been very open with it. This is what we have. This is what we're working with. This is how much we have spent in this. And I think it's made it a little less stressful for me, like going into adulthood. I don't know, because I'm like, you know, they just laid everything out on the table and figured it out. It wasn't like some big thing. They just were like, okay, we're open about this, and you know, we're trusting God that He has us, and we're going to go on with our lives and just obviously do the work and pray. But you know, God has us, and He's totally come through every single time, and I love that, because they just taught me blind faith is absolutely real, and it works.
Yeah.
And so
legit.
Bonnie and Clyde, going back to Bonnie and Clyde, and going back to what Jesse was saying about Dad playing, Mom loves order, and she knows what has to get done, mostly because Dad tells her what has to get done in a certain amount of time. But then also she feels the weight of everybody is relying on her for that. I don't know why she decides she is going to be the carrier of that. But Dad is like, oh, okay, well, we can stop work and let's go to the lake. And she's like, well, actually, you told me this has to be done. And he's like, oh, does it have to be done though? Because I think we can go to the lake. And so I think there was a lot of frustrating times for that, because Mom's like, no, actually we have deadlines. Right. And Dad was about the memories, and Mom's about the memories as well. But I think she had always felt more in charge of just everything.
The
and
structure
she felt
of it.
a lot of pressure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. So
Super
Bonnie
good.
and Clyde, if you don't know Bonnie and Clyde, Clyde is the ginormous beagle, and he just loves to have a good time, and Bonnie whips him into shape, let's just say, whether it be attacking him, but you know, she does it. So yes, okay.
Yeah,
I'm done.
That's legit. That was a good comparison right there.
It really was.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Good job. So I was thinking like practical things, because man, like our parents, I get to include myself in that as well. Like they did such a good job of like practical teachings, and you know, things like the family traditions of rabbit, or you know, jumping in the river or a pool or whatever at midnight every single New Year's. What do you guys like, practical lessons and things like that? Like what types of things do you take away from some of that? I don't know. That's probably not a great question, but I'm just trying to kind of kick a conversation.
Jesse, do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I'll go first again.
Oh, thank you. It's giving me time, and then I'm saying what you're saying, and then I'm like, okay, now I know what I'm saying. So
Sweet.
go first.
I mean, practical. I don't know if I'm really going to answer the question the right way, but I think what you're trying to say is just more or less like things that we stand on.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, New Year's, you know, that's a family tradition.
Yep.
If you were sick, you still went.
You got in the river, and it was midnight.
And if you tried to use the excuse, it was like, oh, yeah, sure, that's not going to fly. So there's things that you do just because, you know, your family stands firm on certain things and certain beliefs. But, you know, our family was also tight-knit. So
well, and
we go one, we go all.
The thing I wanted to mention too, Jess, and maybe you could touch on this, like Dad's thought, he mentioned this because we just did this little slip and slide because we wanted to keep the tradition going last New Year's just a few weeks ago. He said the whole point of why he started that specific thing was he wanted you to know, because you guys used to like run down in the snow barefoot after you got in the water. It was like, you can do anything. Like if you put your mind to it, you can do it.
Oh yeah. And he's all about that. And just the other night we were kind of reminiscing. I smashed my finger pretty good and split my nail in half, and you know, I'm kind of a baby when it comes to smashing my fingers, so I was not happy when I told my dad, hey, yeah, you know, do I rip this nail off, or you want to doctor me up tonight? And he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of you. Well, then flashback to when we were in Hawaii. Remember? And I think my chain broke on my bike, and I scratched my feet all up.
Oh.
And then we went and played in the ocean all day, and my feet are burning. And then Dad goes to bandage me up, and I forget what he put on me, but it was just like my feet were on fire. So I was having a flashback, like, oh great, that's exactly what he's gonna do.
Here we
well,
go.
Funny thing is, he comes out and he just pours,
Peroxide.
Hydrogen. Yeah, thank you. I can't speak right now. He poured that on it. I was like, oh, well, that's no big deal, I thought you were going to use the other stuff. And he's like, well, I'm going to be honest with you. He's like, the only reason I used that stuff on you was because my parents used it on me, and I wanted you to feel the same pain.
Oh,
and I slapped him on the back the other night. I was like, oh, thanks, Dad. That's awesome. I remember vividly how painful it was that you put that red stuff on me. And it hurt.
Iodine?
And yeah, that's what he did.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but to be honest, he's like, now that you know how painful that is, he's like, do you think that you'd put that on someone else just so they have to feel it? I was like, yeah, probably. But that wasn't the point. It wasn't the point of, oh, I'm going to make him suffer just because I can. There was more to it that he had to deal with that same pain when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a bonding thing. Like, oh yeah, now you know how it was when I was younger.
Yeah. We're like blood brothers, but different.
Yeah. But more or less, that goes back to what you're saying, how Dad's always trying to push you, because he's not a softie by any means when it comes to physical pain.
Yep.
He's always trying to push you because you don't know how much you can take,
until you're there.
Really, really start pushing yourself. And he's always been a good component of trying to teach people that. So,
hey, do you remember the time we were all working and you were swinging? Somehow you hooked some rope up to a tree limb and you were swinging around. Okay, the backyard, just for our audience to know, was a leveled background or a leveled backyard. So when you came out of the basement door, there was a level, and then there was like a wall, and then another level, and then another wall and another level. But on the second level, there was a trampoline, so you could run out the door of the basement, jump off the little cliff, land on the trampoline, and just go for it all day. Well, Jesse rigged up this rope that was next to the tree, next to the trampoline. So he'd run out the basement door, grab this rope, and swing around the tree. And sometimes he'd swing around and land on the landing. And then sometimes he would just bonsai off and land on the trampoline. Jesse, take it from here.
Oh, yeah.
Take it away.
Long story short, if it has me, if it entails me building something, that's your first problem. Yeah. Because me and simple physics doesn't work. But yeah, so I put this rope swing up, and we had an old dilapidated jacuzzi that had nails sticking out of it. You don't think at all when you're a kid. So here you go, swinging, having fun, and pretty soon swing a little too fast and smacked up against the side of this jacuzzi, only to find that I had a stinking nail sticking in my head. Sound like the guy off thinking Happy Gilmore.
That's what I was just thinking. Dude, I met that guy one time. He's crazy. Yeah, he's a big dude.
But yeah, so that was me. And Dad's trying to work, get stuff done.
He's up on the roof and he hears
son's
Jesse
all
scream.
bleeding out.
And you know what a head wound looks like. It's bleeding so crazy. It looks way worse at the beginning than it really is.
Right. Oh, my.
Oh, yeah.
Mom's screaming. Dad's moseying down the ladder.
Yeah.
In his defense, though, the dude is like so accustomed to trauma and working with people.
Yeah.
Like this is like normal for him. Gosh.
Oh, yeah.
That's good stuff,
But,
Jess.
I mean,
you're gotta wait for it.
Oh, my bad.
well, I mean, Amy would know more about it than I did, because when you're a kid, you just think, oh yeah, Dad's gonna put a bandage on me and make me all better, which is what he did, and that's all I knew. Until years later, come to find out that it actually wasn't a Band-Aid, it was a maxi pad that he's thinking slapped on the side of my head and gave me a good, back row.
Gauze
Hey,
wrap.
you're good, son. Get on out there and keep playing. All right. not knowing any better.
And I remember my mom looked at me and Ashley and Jake, and she said, "Don't say a word. We are not telling him it's a maxi pad." Okay.
But pretty funny.
Oh, that's legit.
These are all good stories and scars that I can always
Still
look back
have
on
to
and
tell.
go, "Hey, that was a good story."
Oh, break down like this rabbit. Like, what do you think some of the biggest like reasons and takeaways, and why did that even happen?
Okay, so
and what
rabbit.
was it? Yeah, because nobody's ever even heard those terms.
So Rabbit the rabbit is an intergalactic rabbit that travels through space, and each Easter he comes to bring us. Hold on, tap out, Jesse.
Yeah.
Is there shooting behind you?
There's always shooting.
Okay, just making sure.
I am a gun maker.
Idiot. Okay. So,
maybe you could stand away from the gun just a little bit.
I don't know.
Is it too loud right now?
It's very loud, but whatever.
Awesome.
Okay, so Rabbit, he comes each Easter to bring us candy, and he really just wants to be cruel and bring us candy, but these aliens,
pesky aliens,
the pesky aliens in outer space, they love candy and they can smell it super good. And so each Easter, these aliens chase Rabbit in his spaceship, and he has to get us this candy before the aliens can. And sometimes he accidentally drops clues around, and every single time, I don't think he's ever got us the box successfully. We've had to go look for it, but he will give us these clues, and it's usually an all-day thing that we just have to go find these clues and the box. But Rabbit, he teaches us good lessons from the Bible. A lot about trust, a lot about, wow, I'm going to cry. Sorry. A lot about trusting God. A lot about finding the enemy, and Rabbit and my dad and mom have these things in common. They teach us, they've taught us since we were young, that our mind is not a playground for the devil. He has no authority in any of our lives. I'm sorry, can you hear me? I'm really a mess.
We can hear you good, sister. Like, no, this is perfect. You're good.
Literally ugliest crier ever. And so, Rabbit and my parents have those things in common. Go figure. Because Dad is Rabbit.
What?
What? I'm sorry. Dad is Rabbit.
Why?
And there's no Santa? What the heck?
Dad is Rabbit's best friend.
Sorry, Jesse.
I'm sorry. We can't have any of the kids listen to this.
Eric, if you're listening, bleep that part out, please. Like she said the F word.
Alert. Oh, man. But they're good lessons that Rabbit teach us about the enemy is these aliens, and they have no authority on this earth. And I mean, one of my favorite ones, adventures that we went on, we actually had to shoot these aliens that were starting in front of us in the middle of the night in the woods with paintball guns.
I remember this.
And
wow.
I'm pretty sure, I bet you do. I think Neal might have played a big role in darting. And wow, we got some really good shots in that day. But it was, our parents always taught us not to be afraid of anything. Obviously, know the outcome of some things, and
we were taught to be made aware. You don't sit in a restaurant with your back to the door. Duh. Everyone should know that.
No, obviously. But our parents did such a good job of raising confident, strong kids. And I'm not saying that to make myself sound good, but
you're right.
Thank you. But they have just done a good job of saying, yeah, you're a girl, but you can do anything you want, and nothing's going to hold you back. If you set your mind to it, you can. And, you want to make knives, go for it. If you want to make guns, go for it. If you want to be a photographer when you're freaking 14 years old, Amy, go for it, because you can do it. Actually, if you want to start a family of 12 kids
at 12 years old,
yeah, go for
we'll
it.
Sign off on that.
Because, and they did, and they've just been so good to say, yeah, it's our life, but you kids are our life, and we're going to make sure that your life is 10 times better than ours was. And they succeed in that. And I'm very thankful for them that they gave us these experiences out of Rabbit and different things that they could teach us to say, hey, no, you're a big kid, you can do this. And yeah,
it's beautiful, good stuff.
Yeah,
golly, super good. So just with the remaining time that we have, I know the metaphor behind the whole deal, obviously we've got a physical house that we're in that is still a work in progress, and all of our lives are a work in progress, but the journey shifted, like God shifted the journey for you guys and for mom and dad, and called you to head north. And this was a few years ago. There's a little process in that. Wasn't easy, right? It wasn't easy for anybody on this side. Wasn't easy to pack up and leave the house that the family had built. But let's just talk on that just for a little bit. Jesse, your heart kind of was jumping and leaping early on with dad and that. What was kind of calling you north?
I think it's just as you get older, and I was starting to raise my own family. You're kind of a different perspective on things that matter to you. So, long story short, where we lived, where you guys are currently, we lived only just a few blocks above you, in a cul-de-sac, and it was a nice little house. We loved it there. And, that's where we brought our firstborn back to. But it's just a different dynamic of not the same neighborhood that I was raised in, getting to have some freedoms and stuff. And then there's also kind of a shift of where's your priorities, Do I want to set roots here and raise my family there, or take them somewhere else? My big thing is safety. And there had been a couple different things that had happened near to where I worked that was like, oh, this is really cool. Some stuff happening with some shootings and maybe some stabbings and stuff like that, where Sarah would go shopping. It's like, well, I don't really feel comfortable, having my family here necessarily. And I'm not saying that in Greenhorn, but there's definitely something that changed.
Yep.
And so, I've always kind of wanted to go elsewhere because, it's always greener on the other side. But never knowing what that would entail, who would get hurt, or, we watched the new Wonder Woman the other night because it was Sarah and I's anniversary. So we went to the movie theater, and not to shift the conversation, not to spoiler alert, about the movie, but
I haven't seen it yet.
It's all about be careful what you wish for.
Ooh.
If your wish is granted, something else will be taken from you, right?
Yeah.
So,
yep.
You're always going to lose something.
Yep.
But
That's good, bud.
It's been good. Yes, we moved and we have we got a beautiful, healthy daughter that's been born here, and
Her name is Gemma
the Lord,
Joy.
the Lord's
for the
been good to us.
Gemma Joy.
Yeah, the old Gemma. But my thing was I got to get my family somewhere safe, because I don't have a lot of finances. But at least if I could get them there, we can set some roots and kind of figure it out.
And I can't help but think that the drought had something to do with it, because Jesse loves snow so much. And for about, 6 years, we barely had any snow. And I think that he wanted a bigger igloo playground now.
He was crying at the door of Greenhorn, looking north, going, "Snow, put me out in the snow."
Yeah, no. Joke's on me, thinking North Idaho has no snow right now, and Greenhorn has more than we do.
Yeah, we got a lot of snow right here. Abby, what did you see? What was hard about leaving this hometown house, all of it? And,
besides your big sister.
Yeah, besides leaving Amy, obviously. What was hard about going up there and watching your mom and dad go through it, you going through it with them, and then after the hard, I got one more follow-up question, which is the reward.
Okay, so I'm already crying. It's been freaking hard, dude. And to say that we went through it, no, we're still going through it. I don't think there's a day that goes by that I'm not crying, saying I miss my family, because we were so close, and now we're 1,100 miles away. And so back up, Dad's like, "Hey, you want to move to Idaho? Let's get the whole family to move to Idaho." And I'm like, "Wow, that sounds great."
Which is so weird, because Dad and Mom are so family oriented. When he said that, I was like, "Oh crap, does Dad have Alzheimer's? Like, what is going on?"
You forgot this whole all for one thing.
Yeah, what is going on? Like,
Serious.
Dad doesn't. We don't even drive up the canyon like with
Separately.
a car between us.
Separate.
So what is going on right now? Like, I was ready to throw my papers at him.
I think you did throw your papers at him, but probably other things too. But he's like, "You want to move to Idaho?" And I'm the only sibling in the family that doesn't have a family of my own, and I'm like, "Yeah, this valley, it's not having so much to offer me. I see all my siblings, and they have spouses from the valley, but there wasn't a lot for me." And so to have a new perspective, I was like, "Yeah, I can always move back." And that was going through my head each and every day. Packing was, I can always move back. I can always move back. And so having that made it a little bit easier at the time, because I just always assumed I would move back with you. And so been coming up here, and Dad was like, "I feel like the Lord is telling me to move." And, obviously it's not me, it's my family. And if that is not in my lifetime, if I come up here to set it up for my family to come to have a safe spot, so be it. And that was hard for me to watch, because he was pretty much saying that he's going to move away from the family, but he's not sure if anybody will ever come. And I was like, wow, that's some blind faith right there. Like, holy cow, you're trusting God so much that you would leave literally the thing that you worked hardest for, and that was your tight-knit family. And so I got to, kind of, what's it called when you are behind a semi-truck and
shake and bake. It's called shake and bake.
No, it's not. But no, you got the right idea.
I actually don't think it's
That was a close one.
It's drafting in a NASCAR. Yeah. He's breaking breaking ground for you.
Yeah, and so I just kind of drafted behind him on that blind faith, and then I got up here, And I was like, you know what, Lord, just use me how you want to. And this has become my home. And the valley will always be my home. But it's weird because when I go back there now, I don't feel at home.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I feel at home with you guys when I'm like hanging out with you and in community with you. But the valley, I don't know, it's just different. And then when I come here, I just feel God's peace with me. And that's so hard because half of me is like, I don't want to be at peace here. I want to be at peace with my family. But that's just not, I guess that's just not in his cards. And I have to live to be okay with that. And so I'm working towards that. I'm really trying, but it has been hard, very hard. And it's beautiful here. And I sound so ungrateful because we seriously have such a beautiful property and God has blessed us so much. So I'm trying to be okay with everything. And yeah. But it's a journey for sure.
Yep. What would you say is the sweetest reward, which you already touched on it, but what's the sweetest reward that you've seen with just stepping out in the blind faith?
The sweetest reward would be just peace. I feel it's funny to say, but being like, Lord, I don't know what I'm doing, but here I am. And he just lifts me up in his arms and is like, and I got you, baby girl. And that is so good. And I've got to be a part of such a wonderful church up here and just good people that are keeping me straight and saying, hey, keeping me in check and just being in a community that genuinely loves you is so amazing. And I probably might have had that somewhere else, but I'm glad that it's here. And I love that the family loves it here because when you guys come up, it's literally my favorite thing. I count down the days till you guys get here every time, and I tell every single person I know, I'm like, hey, I just want you to know in 5 months my sisters are going to be here and it's going to be fantastic. And they're like, that's really cool. You just told us that 2 days ago. I'm like, but I just really want you to know that it's really, you should watch out because it's going to be fun. But yeah, it's been.
Hey, it makes it a little bit easier when you got those good-looking cowboys up there and they're riding bulls and punching fools.
And just ranching. Oh, yes. It's so fantastic.
I'd rather you hang out with dudes that are packing dips and twisting grips, though.
Oh, shifting gears and passing clear.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Shake and bake.
So, shake and bake. If you're not first, you're last.
Well,
yeah. So it's been a something.
It's been a something.
It's
for sure.
been a something. Well, we absolutely love you too.
Mm-hmm.
You are both
love
incredible. We are extremely proud of what you do, who you are, what you've chosen, the way you live, your hearts. There's not a single person listening to this, either now or years in the future, that aren't going to know the type of characters that mom and dad have raised because of just listening to you a little bit. So we love you.
Well,
love you to pieces.
Well, thanks for having us. We miss you.
We love you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking time out.
Yeah. Any closers that you guys want to just zing the crowd with?
Closers. Oh, you should have given me this question earlier. I could have been.
Do you want to go first, Jesse?
Jesse?
Yeah. Hey,
Jesse.
Hey, Jess, do you want to go first? Actually, yeah, you go first.
I don't know.
I don't even. Yeah.
A tough one.
Typically, Amy will sign off with some kind of a nanny, sort of a bye-bye for
Hold
now.
on. Tap out. Closer for my brother Neal. Oh my gosh, I'm always crying.
Slap her,
really
Jesse. Slap her.
No,
I'm not even sitting next to her. She locked herself away in her room, afraid someone's going to take her phone.
Okay, it's true. I'll choke you out. Okay, Neal, we've talked about my siblings, but you have been my brother, my big brother, since I was 3. And as you heard from Jake 2 podcasts ago, you can't remember anything before 3. And so you have been my brother since the beginning. And I'm so thankful for you. And I know I'm the only one in the family that laughed at your jokes.
Thank you.
Never stop. And so just send them over if you need a good laugh.
Awesome.
Because I will give it to you.
We're going to face you
And I
into
love
our
you very much.
services down here so that way I can get a laugh
yes.
every once in a while. Jeez, FaceTime.
Of course.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate it.
Of course. No,
Well,
love
I'd
it.
what about
I'd
me?
like to say
Wait.
the same. Amy, you've always been like a sister to me.
My gosh. What about me? What about me? For the listeners, when Amy figured out that Mom was pregnant with me, she was like, how are you going to take care of her? You're going to be so old. I'm going to have to take care of her. And so Amy, there's a love-hate relationship from the very beginning between us because I think she knew that she wasn't going to be the favorite anymore after I came along.
That happened.
There's my closer.
Yeah.
That was a good one. You did good. That was all
Thank
improv, too. You killed it.
Thank you. That's good.
Well, we love you both, and we will hopefully get you back on here another time sometime soon.
All right.
Yes. So like Nanny
course.
always
We look forward
says,
to it.
do you guys know what Nanny
Bye-bye
always
for
says?
now.
Bye-bye for now.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.
Love
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Love you too.
Love you.